Hi everyone, this is Bina again, and I decided to do my recording in Zoom. So let's see how this goes today, okay? I received a follow-up question from my previous video on diplomatic communication. How do you communicate diplomatically in a command and control environment or an environment that is very traditional? Like I mentioned earlier, it's very hard to find a non-traditional flat organization. No matter what, every organization has a hierarchy. In many organizations today, all over the world, especially as I mentioned earlier, in traditional organizations, command control environments, managers are often operating on established norms and habits. That top-down decision making, formal communication channels, and a preference for similar or familiar processes over experimentation. And so people are always set in their ways. Know that, especially if they've been with the organization for a very long time. So for Gen Z professionals who are coming into the workplace, this can be very frustrating. It's overwhelming, it's frustrating, and it makes you upset, right? This is very common. I see it all the time in my work as an ombuds. You may be used to these fast feedback loops, these digital collaborations, transparent communication styles, but when change is resisted, and you can expect that, especially in how communication or work gets done, it can feel like your progress is being slowed down. It can feel like you're not being heard or valued. And if, like all of us, especially the Gen Zs, they want to contribute. That means a lot to them. So here's the key insight. Resistance to change is not personal. It's usually structural, cultural, and tied to the perceived risk management of change. It's perceived. Okay. For many managers, especially those who have been successful over the years in stable systems, and no such thing exists today, by the way, the way things are done is also the way that things have always worked. And they've worked, so why change it, right? That's the attitude. If you haven't heard it, you will. So the challenge is not to fight the system directly, but to learn how to navigate it strategically. That's very important. And this is where political diplomacy communication becomes a powerful skill. Embrace it, make it your best friend. It's what's going to get you moved up in your career, as well as it's a great skill to have to get what you want, okay? And to feel heard. So political diplomacy communication does not mean manipulation. Not at all. It just means being intentional about your tone, timing, framing, and hierarchy awareness so your ideas are more likely to be heard and accepted. It's all about consistency in tone, timing, and framing. Remember that. And your awareness of hierarchy. That's very important. And so instead of asking, let's say, for example, why don't they just change this? The more effective question, for example, would be, how do I present this so it feels safe, it feels useful, and low risk for somebody to say yes, let's say your manager, right? So let's break down 3 core strategies Gen Z may use effectively. The first strategy is frame your ideas in terms of manager priorities, not personal preference. They're your manager's priorities, the other person's, okay? So in this environment, let's say a control and command environment, managers respond to alignment, not novelty. So instead of saying your tool is outdated, it's inefficient, it's slow, don't be negative about it. Just say, I noticed that we may have been able to reduce the turnaround time and improve consistency quickly and efficiently with the current workflow. Would it be okay if I shared a small suggestion that aligns with our current processes and goals? Think about this. Because the framing does 2 very important things. It reduces the perceived threat, okay? And it connects your idea to the existing priorities, the efficiency of risk reduction, performance, any kind of other efficiencies, right? You're not pushing the change, you're positioning the improvement within their system. And that's very important because you let them own the outcome of that question, the outcome of that answer. They own it because you're asking it. So it's always safe to pose an idea in the form of a question. I do this all the time. The second strategy is to use incremental change instead of radical proposals. One of the biggest mistakes that early career professionals make is proposing a full system redesign. Have you ever had a leader who just comes in and just strips everything or strips the Band-Aid, as the corporate saying, right? Or you come in as a newbie and you say, oh, I can fix this. Why are we doing things the old way? Let's not. Again, it's how you say it. It's how you propose the change, right? So in traditional environments, large change equals risk. People are afraid of change. It is a thing. They're afraid of change, just like they're afraid of conflict. Okay. So I would recommend using micro adjustments. Could we test this for one project? That's an example. Would you be open to piloting this for a week? Do you think it's okay if I pilot this with my team and perhaps share the results? We're not committing to anything. It's just a pilot. What do you think? So this approach respects hierarchy and reduces resistance because it preserves managerial control. Basically, all you're saying is you stay in control of the decision, manager. I will reduce the risk for you by being more efficient, but you don't say that part aloud. So that is political diplomacy in action. And then the final strategy is communicating upwards with structure, not emotion. Now, I know that Gen Zs communicate with their emotion. There's a way to tactfully communicate with emotion, and that's by communicating upwardly. Don't let them see that you're very emotional about this, that makes you angry or sad or disappointed. No, no, no. Managers in command environments, traditional environments, often prefer precise, concise, structured updates over exploratory dialogue. And that's what I mean by not showing emotion. Okay. It's one thing to be direct and state the facts. It's another to think out loud, to brainstorm, to be, to explore through dialogue. People don't want that because they don't have time. And there's always a sense of urgency in our culture, especially today, these days, right? So strong manage up approach or format would look like what's happening, identifying the context of what you're asking or what you're saying, what you noticed, your observations, what you are suggesting in the form of a recommendation, in the form of a question, okay? And then why it matters. Identify the risk. Talk about the impact. Usually it's a positive impact, right? Because you're asking for change. So, here's an example. Hey, manager, quick update. In the last 2 project cycles, I did notice some delays in approval steps, but I thought this through and I recognize that there's a pattern of delays here. So I'm thinking, what if we look at a more simplified review checklist for initial submissions? I'm happy to take the lead on this, and this could help reduce any kind of workload. It could speed up approvals without changing anything on your oversight roles. Maybe it'll just help you. I can help you help manage this project or this initiative, right? This keeps the communication predictable, transparent, and respectful. And you're letting them own the decision. Again, you're not overstepping your boundaries as an employee, as a new employee. All right. Case in point. Managing up as a Gen Z employee. This is a true case, okay? This is a true true example. So as a Gen Z analyst, I had somebody come in my office the other day who worked in a very traditional operations team. They identified that approvals are slow because managers are relying on long email chains instead of sharing a tracking tool. I mean, you just got pages and pages of email threads, right? And instead of saying you should switch to a new system like Slack or Notion, this email is not working, it's inefficient. The way to propose this would be, I've observed some delays. You're showing a pattern here in tracking approvals across email threads. Things are getting lost because there's way too many too many emails being exchanged. So I tested a simple tracking template in Slack the other day that doesn't replace email, but organizes the updates in one place. This way, it's centralized, it's efficient. We know what updates there are in real time. Would you be open for me to pilot it for just a week and share the results with you? And your manager who's cautious about change is more likely to respond positively because you didn't challenge their authority or their role. You sure as heck didn't demand of making existing systems changes, okay? You're offering a low risk trial, is probably free. It doesn't cost the company anything because that's important. And you preserved the decision maker power to your manager, right? So they don't feel threatened. So here it is. Here's my closing thought here. In the control and command environments, any traditional environment, success is not only about having like good ideas. It's about making these ideas easy to accept. That means speaking their language, the language of the person on the receiving end, okay? Gen Z professionals really bring speed, creativity, digital fluency, and traditional managers bring structure, risk, awareness, and experience. This is valuable. And political diplomacy communication is the bridge between the two. So when you learn to meet managers where they are at, not where you wish they were, you don't lose your voice. You increase the chances that it will be actually heard. You will be heard. Okay. So think about this. I hope this was helpful. And if you are a Gen Z professional or really any professional navigating this kind of environment and you want to strengthen your communication, your confidence, and your ability to manage up effectively, because that is a skill too, I am offering workplace coaching focused on these exact skills. We're going to work on real life scenarios from your job. We're going to learn how to speak to managers, learn how to influence without authority, and learn how to position your ideas so that not only do they land, but they are executed. So if you'd like to have this support, if you feel free to DM me or email me to set up a coaching conversation. I'm also providing group coaching at a very low fee right now because I do need the hours as I'm working on a certification. So if you're interested, please message me. Thank you.